What's going on, Gifted Hands family? It is Elijah here bringing you another lesson, and today we're continuing on with our series on the use of modes in gospel, and we are talking about the Mixolydian mode or the Mixolydian scale here today. You might hear me call it the Mixolydian scale, you might hear me call it the Mixolydian mode, same thing, all right? I think about modes and scales pretty much in the same way, all right? So, what is the Mixolydian mode? And how can we use it? What's the Mixolydian scale? How do we use it? All right, let's start off with that. So the Mixolydian scale, if you're going to look at it just in terms of numbers, it's just going to be pretty much just like a dominant scale. That's my nickname for it, is a dominant scale. Why? Because it pretty much outlines a dominant chord, or you can be played over dominant chords. So here it is. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. You got a flat 7th instead of a major 7th, okay? That's the only difference. So it only has a 1-note difference from our major scale. Our major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? The Mixolydian scale just takes that 7th and it flats it. Which, if we look at the 1, 3, 5, and the flat 7, that gives us our dominant chord. And even the 2 and the, actually, I'll stack it on top. The 2 and the 6, or the 9 and the 13, give us our extensions for our dominant chord, okay? And then there's also a 4 in there. So essentially this Mixolydian mode, Mixolydian scale can be used over any dominant chord. So that's one way to think about it. It's just major scale, just flat the 7th, right? Our dominant scale. So for let's look at that in F. In F, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, right? There's our Mixolydian scale. Instead of major with the major 7th, we're taking the 7th and we're flattening. There's Mixolydian, okay? One more time. Let's look at it at D flat. D flat Mixolydian would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. All right, so instead of a major 7th, we got our flat 7th. One note difference. So that's one way to think about the Mixolydian scale. The other way to think about it is in terms of the major scale. Remember, all of the modes that we've covered in this series are just some type of major scale starting on a note other than the 1 or other than the root of that major scale, right? So the Mixolydian mode is the 5th mode of the major scale. So what does that mean practically? Practically, that means it's just going to be, so let's take C, Mixolydian, for instance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So C Mixolydian is the same scale, the same grouping of notes as the F major scale. See here? We're just taking the F, G, and the A, and we're gonna put it on top. F, G, A, oh, and B flat, my bad. So we'll put the B flat on top too. And that gives us C Mixolydian. Same notes though. F major has 1 flat, which is B flat. C Mixolydian also has 1 flat, which is B flat, okay? So C Mixolydian is a mode of F major. Same notes, okay? That's all that means. So if we're playing a C major scale, right? Our Mixolydian mode from the C major scale would be G Mixolydian. All right? Why? Because our C major scale is here. And what's the 5th note of our C major scale? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G is the 5th note, right? So we'll play a C major scale starting on G. And that gives G Mixolydian, all right? So if you want to find a Mixolydian scale, another way to think about it is to pull it from the 5th note of a major scale. So for instance, let's say I'm trying to find my B flat Mixolydian scale and I can't think of the numbers, right? If I can't think about the numbers, then we're gonna say, okay, well, maybe we remember that the Mixolydian scale, the Mixolydian mode is the 5th mode of our major scale. So that means we're gonna try to find the major scale. We're trying to find B flat Mixolydian. So we're gonna try to find the major scale where B flat is the 5, okay? So that would be E flat. E flat major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. E flat major scale has B flat as the 5th. So that means B flat is going to be our Mixolydian mode. So B flat Mixolydian is the same as E flat major scale, just starting on B flat. So, whoops. Try to play it all with one hand. So B flat Mixolydian is the same notes, check this out, same notes as E flat major. All I'm going to do is take these notes that are on top, E flat, F, G, and A flat. I'm gonna put them on the bottom. E flat, G, E flat, F, G, and A flat. Yeah. So that's our Mixolydian mode or our Mixolydian scale, okay? So that's what we got. That's how you explain it. That's how you think about it, and you can memorize this scale, okay, or this mode. So after you got that, how do we use it? You may be wondering. So glad you asked. So pretty much the main way in gospel that I use the Mixolydian scale, and I hear most musicians use it, is going to be over dominant chords, like I said. So this is essentially a dominant scale. We have a major third, 1, 2, 3, major third, major fifth, pretty much all natural notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just that flatted 7. So this is a dominant scale. It's used best over a dominant chord. So you'll hear this in a lot of like traditional songs, a lot of congregational songs, a lot of hymns. More, like I said, old school gospel has more opportunities to use a Mixolydian scale just because it has way more dominant chords all in it, right? So a song example that comes to mind would be like What a Friend We Have in Jesus. So let's try it in a different key because we've been doing everything in C up to this point. So let's do it in A flat major, okay? So it goes like this. What a friend what we have in Jesus. All right, so there's a bunch of places that we can use this Mixolydian scale in this song, right? So What a Friend We Have in Jesus starts off 1, and then I can do like a passing progression, 5 minor, to the 1 dominant, to the 4, right? So remember, we said anytime we see a dominant chord, in our song, in our changes, we can add the we can apply the Mixolydian mode, Mixolydian scale over that dominant chord, okay? So here, what a friend we have. So we have an A flat dominant chord, right? So when we get here, even though this is the 1, I'm not gonna apply a major mode over this dominant chord because it has a major 7, and this major 7 and the flat 7 just it doesn't go together. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but they just don't go together, okay? So what works better is that Mixolydian mode that we talked about, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, flat 7, and it's really only a 1 note switch up. We're just taking that major 7th and we're making it a dominant 7, right? So we can use this scale to come up with something interesting. So we can do what a friend we, right? So this movement right here, that's a Mixolydian movement. I'm just taking the Mixolydian scale, putting the interval of thirds in, walking it down till I get to my 4 chord. Right? So that's one way we could do it. Use it. What a friend we. Or we could do just like a lick or a run. Right? And that was just a dominant chord in my left hand. I've played it rootless, but this is A flat dominant. Just playing it rootless, okay? A flat dominant chord, but to keep it simple, we'll play it like that, and we'll play our Mixolydian mode or our Mixolydian scale, A flat Mixolydian over our A flat dominant chord. Okay, so that's one thing we can do. We can do that. So what a friend we have in G. So, and then another way we could play the song is what a friend we have in Jesus. We can go to like the flat 7 if we wanted to, which is a G flat, like a G flat or F sharp dominant chord, right? So if we're playing a dominant chord here, once again, we could slap the G flat or F sharp Mixolydian scale on top of it, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's F sharp Mixolydian, right? There's our Mixolydian mode. So, what a friend we have in G. Alright, so we can play a lick. And then resolve to the next chord. Okay, let's keep it moving. So maybe we throw a 2 chord in there somewhere, right? We throw in like a B flat dominant chord. Everything to God in prayer. All right. So everything. So when we land on our 2 chord, 2 chord is dominant, B flat dominant, so therefore we can add a B flat Mixolydian scale over that B flat dominant chord. So here's B flat Mixolydian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. We can use this scale to do anything that we want, to be creative, right? It could be a movement, it could be a lick, it could be a run, it could be even structuring chords based off of this mode, right? But whatever you want to do. So okay. So there's a couple ways that we can use a Mixolydian mode, and then one other way that I'm gonna cover real quick, something that I like to do every now and then, is going to be this. So I like to alter the Mixolydian scale because it's great over a dominant chord, but a lot of times, especially like there's one chord in particular that that I always alter when it comes to the Mixolydian scale, and so I'll go back to C. So if we're looking at, actually no, let's stay in A flat since we're already there. So if we're looking at, let's look at A flat Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. Here's A flat Mixolydian, right? Same notes as our A flat major scale. We're just taking the 7th and flatting it. So what I don't like about the Mixolydian scale is that if I play the scale, let's say we're just like moving on autopilot, and we're going straight up and down the scale, right? What happens is you have this tension between your 3 and your 4. Why? Because if you're playing this over a dominant chord, A flat dominant has a C in it. And if I'm playing D flat, those 2 notes don't sound good together to me, right? And normally like this interval of a minor second is gonna be very tense, right? It's gonna be very dissonant. So I don't like to play the 4th in that Mixolydian scale. So what I like to do is alter it and make it like a Lydian dominant scale, what we would call like Lydian dominant, which is essentially the Mixolydian scale. I'm just taking the 4th and I'm sharpening it. So I'm like altering that Mixolydian scale, kind of making it like a Lydian mixed with the Mixolydian scale, all right? And so by altering it, I get the sharp 11, which is actually, it turns out to be an alteration of whatever dominant chord that you're playing. And I feel like that sounds really good when you use it in context, when you're using it in a progression in a song. So let's throw that in. Let's try that. What a friend we have in Jesus. So like one more time. What a friend we. There's that like altered Mixolydian scale, or Lydian dominant if you want to call it. Jesus. And then there it is over the flat 7. So 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, minor 7 or flat 7, whatever you want to call it. So here's our altered Mixolydian, or as a chord readout says, Lydian dominant scale. Okay? And that's the Mixolydian mode, just taking that 4th and raising it a half step, which gives us that Lydian. Remember our Lydian 4, which is a sharp 4. And that just gives us, like I said, some more interesting harmony. I like that more than. All right, so that's one other cool trick that you can use over the Mixolydian scale. A couple different ways that gospel musicians and gospel pianists will use this Mixolydian mode in gospel songs and in gospel harmony. I hope you got something from this. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. We will be covering the Aeolian mode in the very next lesson, which is like a minor mode. All right, so stay tuned and make sure you got the notifications turned on so you keep up to date with what we got going on in this mode series. All right, see you soon.